Good morning, everybody. I hope everybody's okay. It is Wednesday, the 11th of January. It is the morning, it's about 8:45. And as it's January, it's really dead. We always knew it was going to be dead. I'm still a little bit with this flu, just at the tail end of it. So we're no longer in the terminal stages like I thought I was at one point. And we're getting better day by day. But since it's quiet, I thought what I'd do is I'd gather some of the questions that I've had recently that I have actually answered to the individuals concerned. But I thought I'd put the questions out on the channel, and then that way some of the answers may benefit other people, hopefully. It's pretty dead. My target for this week is about half of what my minimum normally is. And if I get it, that's fine. If I don't, I don't. When you're bidding for work at this time of year, you can't bid high because you're not going to get it. I've got some bids out this morning. I've not had any responses yet. You might hear the phone ring, fingers crossed. But if not, I've got one high on the feed on the phone here, and I'm sort of like filming this on the iPad instead. So, here's some questions that were asked by me, or to me, I should say. And I'm going to read you the questions and give you the answers that I gave, okay? And I hope that these answers are useful to people. First one was from James Hopkins. Do you own your own van or do you lease it? Well, I own my own van. Before I came on the CX, I looked at different options. Shall I rent one? Shall I lease it? Renting's expensive. I did look at renting a van. You were talking about 250 quid a week for a long wheelbase van. That would include maintenance and everything like that, but it's a lot of money to find, isn't it? You're talking like £1,000 a month. That one was with a mileage, quite a generous mileage of 90,000 miles a year. Then I looked at leasing, but nearly all the leasing ones have really, really low mileage allowances. So that by the time you finish your lease, you'll be paying a premium in excess mileage. So in the end, I decided to buy one. I wanted to buy a new one. At the time when I was looking, you couldn't get hold of a new one. There was waiting lists of 3, 4, 5 months. So I ended up buying one that was older. Well, it was about 3 years old, but I had low mileage and came with a warranty. As we know at the moment, vans are incredibly expensive. I mean, what I paid for mine, probably overpaid a bit because I was rushing about and it had low miles. And I did have the money to buy it outright, but the accountant told me that that's not what I should do. So I ended up paying a significant deposit and then financed the rest over 3 years. Although, to be honest with you, I think I'm going to settle the finance earlier than that. I don't like it hanging over me. However, the company obviously meet the finance payments. So that's what I've done. I've bought a van. Other people might go different routes. But when you buy it, it's your responsibility. But then again, you don't have to worry about little scratches and things like that on it, do you? When you lease them and hand them back, or rent them and hand them back. Stephen Turton has put, does your van have to be under a certain age and condition? Well, no, Stephen, it doesn't. You can pretty much buy any van you want, any age you want, and put it on the courier exchange. Now, not everybody can afford to buy a new or nearly new van. Some people are just starting out, aren't they? And in my opinion, not everybody shares my opinion, but in my opinion, if your van's good enough, it's good enough. It just has to look, in my view, presentable, and it has to be reliable for yourself. And your budget will dictate what van you start with. So you might start with an older van, build yourself up, get some money together, part exit, get a newer van. But the only thing that I will say about the older vans is that the new legislation that's come in about the clean air zones, The older vans will probably not have a Euro 6 engine. So therefore, you're going to be paying all these charges when you go into the cities. And there's more and more cities and towns are opening up these areas now. So Bradford's recently opened. I think it's £8 every time you go in there, unless your van's a Euro 6. You've obviously got the London one. I believe you've got Bath. There are others. I can't think of them because my van's a Euro 6. I don't even bother checking out things like that. So the only thing I'd say about an older van is you've got to bear that in mind when you're pricing for jobs. You're going to go into clean air zones, and they're just going to get more and more of them. I mean, I live in the Manchester area, and that's going to be coming on, isn't it? It was put off for a while, but they're going to put on the clean air zone here as well, and it's a big one as well. Pretty much everything inside the M60 ring road is going to be in the clean air zone. I live in Royton, which is not technically in Manchester, and we're going to here. So if I pull off my drive, I'm in the clean air zone. So that's the only thing. But in reality, I mean, if your van's in good condition and you maintain it well and keep it looking presentable, in theory, you can have any age van you want. You might want to worry about reliability and things like that. But if you look after a van and it's a diesel engine, they tend to, give you, 250,000 miles anyway. So it's pretty much up to yourself and up to your budget. So the age doesn't matter. You just might want to consider that Euro 6 business. Douglas King. How do you go about paying tax? Have you got an accountant? Yes, I do have an accountant. And the reason why I have an accountant is because I am absolutely useless when it comes to things like that. And in the past, in a previous life, I got myself in a right load of bother about tax. I took the wrong advice off somebody and it ended up costing me an awful lot of money. So much so that I had to remortgage. And I told myself that when I was setting up this business, I was never ever going to get myself in that position again. So I use an accountant. I pay them monthly, a set fee, and they do everything for me. They work out the best way to pay myself. They work out the most tax efficient way of paying myself. In my particular instance, I pay myself a minimum wage of around £12,000 a year, because you don't pay any tax up to £12,000 a year, do you? And then I pay myself dividends for the rest, because you can have £2,000 worth of dividends tax free, and then any subsequent dividends after that, the tax is only around 9.5%. So it's a saving. It's not illegal, it's just a more tax efficient way of doing it. I wouldn't have known about that if it wasn't for the accountant. He sorts out my VAT. He works out how much I owe to the VAT people and how much they owe me. And it just takes a load of stress and worry out of everything. Any money that comes in from my invoices, I immediately move the VAT element of that invoice into a separate account. I don't touch it until the accountant says that that money can be used or touched. I leave it completely separate. And it works fine. It works fine for me. A lot of people, they do their own. They're probably more brighter than me. And they'll use the software like QuickBooks and things like that to help them. And I'm sure that, if I wanted, I could do that. But for what the accountant cost me, the cost of the accountant obviously come off the corporation tax of the company anyway. I found it better and more convenient to use an accountant. He has an app, so any receipts I do, I just have to photograph them and I can toss them, so it's not as if I've got to keep loads of paperwork all about. And he gets copies of all my invoices as and when they're produced anyway. So yes, I use an accountant. Personal choice, everybody else will do it their own way, but no matter what happens, you still got to pay your tax. There's no escaping it. Okay, Madman 1966, good year that. Is wondering about ADR training. Is it similar to what HGV drivers do, and what are you allowed to carry? Right, ADR, hazardous goods by road. It's the same training for a HGV driver as for a van driver. The training itself is the same. There are elements of the training that would be different for HGV drivers in so much as that if they do tanks. So if you're a tanker driver, there's an element of that training that I wouldn't do because I'm driving, a van, and essentially I'm not going to be doing tanks. So I don't do that element of the training. But otherwise, you do the same training course that the HGV drivers do as well. It's split into different sections and modules, and there's depending on the categories of the goods that you're carrying. Now, I chose not to take explosives and radioactives because I had absolutely no intention of carrying those products. So I have simply done all the other sections except for explosives and radioactives. So I'm not licensed to carry those items. Explosives because, well, quite frankly, they're dangerous. And radioactives because it's a more specialist field, and sometimes you've got to do a lot of extra things to your van to carry them, and then you possibly may not be able to put other things in your van afterwards. So I decided not to do those. But the regular things I tend to carry for myself: flammables, corrosives, oxidizing agents, and then you got the general what's called class 9, which kind of brackets a load of other things that are dangerous, like lithium batteries and things like that. But the course is the same for everybody. It just depends on which sections of the course you opt for. So HGV driver who drives the tankers would take the tank section, and then if you choose to do explosives and radioactives, you take that section as well. But I chose not to get involved in that particular thing. It's you don't see it very often anyway, to be honest with you. But I know that people specialise in those things, especially radioactives. A lot of medical work with radioactives involved. But ADR, same course for everybody. Nowadays you can do the courses online via Zoom, or you can do classroom courses. They usually take around a week to do, and the license will last you for 5 years. Wakas Ali. Now this question is a question I get a lot, and you probably guess it. How much can you earn with your own van? Now, I'm putting this question in here because everyone asks it, but the answer is as much as you want to earn, as much as you choose to earn, and it's simply based on just how much effort you put in the job. I set myself a target. I know how much it's going to cost for me to meet my running costs, to pay for everything I need to pay for, to account for tax, maintenance for the van, etc., and general fuel. So I have a minimum that I need to take, which is £1,000 a week. That will pay me my chosen wage, meet all my running costs, and put a little bit of money away. However, there have been weeks where I've earned over 2,500 because it's fell lucky. I've worked really hard and I've grafted, but I still paid myself the same wage. But it's very much based on you only get out of it what you put into it. If you're going to work 9 to 5, you're going to earn pretty basic wages. You earn better money by coming out early, picking jobs that way, trying to link up your work. So if the earlier you get out, the more chance you've got of getting a return load back from where you are. And there is no set wage that you earn on this, unless you go down, say, the multi-drop route, where you're going to get a guaranteed rate per day. That's not the kind of work I choose to do. So the answer to how much can you earn, it's a never-ending story. You can earn as little or as much as you'd like, and it all depends on what you put into it, the type of work you do. Like if I do ADR work, I get a better rate per mile, but I can also have a really good day by taking a distance job, maybe down south, and then getting lucky and getting a job back home. So that day becomes a really lucrative day. But some days I'll get a distance job and not get anything back, or maybe just get a short job halfway back. It all varies. There's no set thing. But I'll tell you this, I work on the CX. I don't have my own customers. I do have some shippers that I work for, that I get, quite regular work off, and I earn a living, and that's all I'm going to say. I earn a living, I pay all my bills, and I easily meet the running costs of my van. But I'm never going to be a millionaire, simple as that. It just isn't going to work, and I don't have the ambition to expand my company into anything much bigger than it is already. I'm too long in the tooth to bother doing anything like that. And the last question in this section is from Hazy. And he's put, when finding work on the CX, can you also do work on Yodel, Amazon, City Sprint, etc.? Yes, you can. You're self-employed. The CX is a platform to get work from. But of course, you can join as many other platforms as you like. You can go on Yodel and work for Yodel, delivering parcels. At the same time, have a look on CX once you've finished doing that job to see if you can pick up another job. Same with Amazon, City Sprint. There's also other apps out there like the delivery app. Now I've been on the delivery app 6 months, and I did my first job on it yesterday. And the only real reason why I did my first job on it yesterday is because it was so quiet on the CX. I just decided to look on the delivery app, and there was a job near me. They don't tend to pay brilliant money. That's why I rarely do it. And if I'm sort of like take a job from the CX or from one of the shippers who uses me, it's very rare that there's a job on the delivery app where I am. I do have a glance at it. However, yesterday I wasn't far from a job. It was for a long wheelbase van. It was going 7 miles, and it paid £40 because it's not a bidding platform. That you don't put a bid in, the job's there, it tells you how much it pays, and you can just accept it or not. And I thought, well, I'm not getting any work on the CX at the moment. There's a job not far from me. It's going to give me £40. And, to be honest, it was a really easy job. I picked it up in one part of Stockport, loaded 3 pallets, drove 7 miles to another area in Stockport, unloaded the 3 pallets, sent the POD through, very similar to the CX. Yeah, again, you get them to sign on the phone, picture of your POD, and through it went. And I get paid in 7 days for that. So if the money was a little bit better on the delivery app, I'd probably use it more. But no, you can free to use who and whatever you want. You're self-employed. You pay for the CX to get you some work. There's nothing stopping you getting work from other places as well. And of course, the ultimate aim, in my opinion, is to wean yourself away from the CX eventually, and only perhaps use the CX as a backload site, because with the best will in the world, you don't get the best money by using the CX, because you're bidding for work and you're bidding against other people. So naturally, you're bidding to get that work, and sometimes you're getting less than you'd really hope for the job. But it's a good place to start, and then generate your own business from there on, which obviously is what we're all aiming to do. So those are the kind of questions I've had recently. I've had some stupid ones as well, obviously, which I won't bother reading out. Well, that's just par for the course. So I'm expecting not to do much work this week. I'm expecting really just to grab what I can when I can. Again, and as John Tallman Smallvan has said on his recent video, use the time productively when you're not working to try and generate some work of your own. get on the emails, send emails out, get your business cards handed out, do all those things. Because get your van up to scratch. I've had mine fully serviced. The bodywork's getting done on it in the next week or so. Use that time productively for when things pick up and it gets a bit busier, which, fingers crossed, it will do. So, everybody, thank you for watching this video. I hope the information in this was useful to you. Please give us a thumbs up, because when I get a thumbs up, it shows that the video is liked and it gets it out there a bit more. And if you would be so kind, if you've not already, please subscribe to the channel. We all like to get our subscriptions up. Again, it shows that what I'm putting out is worth doing. The channel's not monetized. I'm not sponsored by anybody. It's simply there as a tool to help people. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you're all well, and hopefully I'll see you all very soon. Thank you.